Hey, what up, what up, what up? We back on my channel, man. This is getting funner and funner every day, I'm telling you. Who knew talking to yourself on YouTube could be so rewarding? Today, I wanted to touch on how I make my money making films and distributing through Film Hub. Um, so a lot of you already know that I'm a recording artist. A lot of you know that I invest in Bitcoin ETFs as well as meme coins, as well as other cryptos. But I'm also a filmmaker. I also shoot videos, video content for my music mostly, but I have been known to shoot some videos for friends for their music. But my real passion is filmmaking. Now, if you know anything about filmmaking, you usually have to have a pretty, unique budget to produce a film. So far, I've only shot one animated film, which is expensive, trust me. I've shot one feature-length documentary, biopic on my life story. And I've shot in 2.5 short films. The reason I say half is because I started and shot one film, but it was so low budget that I never ended up putting it out. So I shot 2 films that I did put out that were short films, and they went on to Prime Video, and they did, humbly well. So since that time, there's been a company that burst on the scene a few years back called Film Hub. And what it is like, when artists distribute music, there's companies like DistroKid or TuneCore or CD Baby or United Masters or even Empire that distributes the music to Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Tidal, the works, Deezer. So for film, there's also distribution entities that can do the same thing. And Film Hub has been leading the way or leading the market in the film distribution realm for the last few years. They'll distribute your film to places like Amazon Prime, Tubi, Freevee, OTT Studios, Future Today, which comes with a lot of these little channels you see on Fire TV or Roku or, you name the gamut. There's a lot of little smaller channels out there. I'm trying to think of some more names that people may. Film Rise. You can name a lot of these channels because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. But the big platforms that they distribute to are Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, and so on and so forth. I've even heard that some films have landed on Netflix. I've yet to see that myself, but hey, it's a possibility. So I've been working with them for about, going on 2 years now. The relationship has grown. They've given me a lot more communication. And before that, I was distributing my films directly through Prime Video. Prime Video is Amazon's service. So there's a love and hate relationship between Amazon or Prime Video because sometimes they'll accept independent filmmakers, not music, but film. And sometimes you'll get a notification saying, right now we're not accepting any, indie films or this type of indie film or what have you. And so if you'd spent the last 4 or 5 months making a certain type of film, only to get rejected or to be told by Prime Video that, they're not accepting that type of film right at the time, then, you're gonna feel like your efforts were for naught. But with a company like Film Hub, it's not just Amazon Prime. So if you make a certain type of film, you'll distribute it through there. There's hundreds and hundreds of channels, hundreds and hundreds of networks where your film is bound to fit in those networks. I know a lot of people make indie horror films, and a lot of the apps or channels won't accept indie horror, but there's a lot of little small channels and apps that will. And so, if you're just in that genre and, you're looking to break ground on your blockbuster indie horror film, there's still outlets out there that'll pick it up. Same with me being African American, there's a lot of little small indie black film channels that will pick up your work, not just because you're black, but because you're telling the story, an urban or Afrocentric story that caters to the black community. So besides just having whatever my film is, a documentary or an animated film or a drama, or like one of my films is called Bullish Stock. So it's not really a drama. It's more about how the stock market works and teaching, the urban community how the stock market works. It may end up on a black film channel as opposed to, a drama channel, a channel that's all about drama. So it's just a matter of who at that channel is reviewing your film or is licensing films for their particular channel, and if they like your product, and so I've had a lot of placements recently that are scheduled to go live in 2024 on channels like OTT Studio, Prime Video, Tubi, let's see, Future Today. Future Today has like a conglomerate, so they have a lot of little smaller channels that they use. One I mentioned was Film Rise, and I know they have tons and tons more. So, if you've ever thought about, I want to shoot film, and, that the film budgets are at least 10 grand, usually minimal, and you're saying, but I don't really have any outlets to put my film out. I've heard, horror stories over people spending so much money on films only for the film to flop. You can still go the original route of trying to book your own theater, sell tickets to the movie premiere, etc., etc. But couple that with Film Hub and their distribution channel, and you can't go wrong. It should be a slam dunk if your product is, worthy of watching. So, if you are still going to your local film theaters and trying to sell tickets and trying to, book some small viewings or showings of your independent film, just imagine the power of having it organically grow in your local community, as well as internationally through a distribution channel like Film Hub. Now, Film Hub's not sponsoring this video. That's just who I use personally. I know that there's a lot of other distributors out there that distribute film, so you'll want to check those out. But definitely I'm going to give you the list of my films. A couple of them are up on YouTube right now under different names. But when they go live, just keep looking, keep checking the channels for them. My first film is called Space Needle, The Animated Life of Bugzeelix. That's my rap name. Space Needle represents the fact that I grew up in Seattle for about 20 years. And so I'm just telling the story of like my life from a certain chapter from about 2000 to 2002-ish. Maybe a little earlier, 98 to 2002-ish. Some adventures I had in Seattle, good and bad, positive and negative, revolving around my music. So go search for that title, Space Needle, The Animated Life of Bugzeelix. On YouTube, it may be under my video channel, under like AI movie or animated film or something like that. We keep changing the name to kind of spice up the algorithm. But if you see like any animation on my YouTube channel, that's probably the film. The film is about an hour and a half long, so you'll know that you're, tapping into the film once you find the animation, and it's an hour and a half long. The next film is a documentary. It's called This Cat Has 9 Lives, The Urban Myth of Bugzeelix. And like I said, that's me. I'm Bugzeelix. So we wanted to do a biopic kind of touching on my life story from about, the end of 2002 up to present. I've used a few different names and aliases for my music. And so I wanted to kind of tie all of them together so that anyone that's heard that song or this place or that place can say, oh, that's the same person. I was wondering why that person disappeared or why I didn't hear any more music from them. So we just wanted to tie the knot on some of the myths out there, some of the reasons why I did that professionally or business wise, and just tell my story from where it ended in the animated film to moving forward to current times. So that one is called This Cat Has 9 Lives, the urban myth of Bugzeelix. And again, on my channel, it's probably up on my YouTube channel. You'll just look for some catchy title, and that film is also an hour and a half. And my apologies, I misspoke. The animated film is 59 minutes. Space Needle, The Animated Life of Bugzeelix. The documentary is an hour and a half. So the documentary, again, is called This Cat Has 9 Lives, the urban myth of Bugzeelix. The animated movie is called Space Needle, the animated life of Bugzeelix. Now, my 2 short films, I don't believe I put them up on my YouTube channel, or I might have had them up for a while. They're scheduled to go live on Future Today sometime this year. The first one is called The Perfect Song. It's about an artist who finds out that his label's trying to kill him for insurance money, and it just goes through that process. It's a short film, but there's some, pretty funny parts in there. There's some pretty serious parts in there, and there's some live performances in there. So it's about 20 to 25 minute film, and it's called The Perfect Song, and it's scheduled to come out, sometime this year. Also with Film Hub, you never know when your film's gonna go live, so you just want to do promotion until it goes live once it's licensed on their platform. When you see it licensed, that's good. That means someone did pick it up. But being that these companies are getting bigger and bigger, you never know when you're scheduled to go live. So you just got to keep checking, don't go crazy, but, check within a 1 to 4 month period, and your film should be up at some point within that 4-month period. If not, Film Hub has a great customer service department. You can touch base with them and see if there's any scheduling issues once your film is licensed. Before that, they have a quality control that they'll do to make sure that your film meets the minimum quality standards before they even push it out to companies for licensing. So it's a very robust, thorough process. I mean, hey, we're talking about films here as opposed to just music. Music is about 3 minutes. Films can be anywhere from 25 minutes to hours long, and they just want to make sure that the film meets all the standards of each of the channels that potentially you may land on. The second film that I have, I mentioned was called, or it's a short film called Bullish Stock. Bullish Stock was really to teach the urban community, a little bit of stock investment or stock trading 101. We kind of put a storyline behind it to where this gangster gave one of the investor, independent or day traders a bunch of money, and he's threatening him that if he doesn't, make due on, doubling or tripling profits, there's going to be a price to pay. So it just goes through a short day from the hood to Wall Street of how the stock market works. We're really breaking down some little 101 information, and that film is about 25 minutes as well. It's called Bullish Stock. So just keep checking your local channels for all of my films, the 4 films I got. I want to try to, shoot another film starting this spring, into the summer. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up on how I make money through films, through Film Hub, and also, using YouTube as a tool to upload films while they're scheduled to go live, because as a creative, you don't want your material to just sit there and get dated. You always want to have some way that your films or your music is working for you. As always, go stream my music on Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Pandora. I have a soundtrack for 2 of the films that I mentioned. So Space Needle, The Animated Life of Bugzeelix. While you're waiting for the film to come out, please go check out the soundtrack on Spotify and Apple Music. The soundtrack is a lot of the music that's in the Space Needle, The Animated Life of Bugzeelix film. and so you'll get a familiarity with the songs that are going to be in the film. It's better to listen to the soundtrack first anyway, so you can kind of get the era of the essence of the music, which was the early 2000s, independent recorded music in Seattle. It's very experimental hip hop, but you'll enjoy the soundtrack. The other soundtrack that's out is I'm drawing a blank on my own film. The other soundtrack that's out is for This Cat Has Nine Lives, the urban myth of Bugzeelix. That soundtrack is out. We released that this year, and also that has some songs off of the off of the film, not animated film, off of the documentary, that you can check out and just get a sense of from 2003 till current how my music's changed, why I use different aliases for some of the films, for some of the songs that I put out, and just it'll take you through a journey of about maybe 20 years worth of music from Bugzeelix. So that's about it for this particular video. Hit like, subscribe. The most important thing I'll ask you guys to do is share this content. You may have filmmakers in your family. You may make films yourself. You may be thinking about making films. You may have films up on Film Hub. You may have music out there, or be trying to figure out how to bring your music to life more, which is why I did a lot of these films, to be able to put my own music as background music, and any of the above. So I hope that I've inspired you with this video. It is a daunting process once you start submitting to Film Hub and start going down that journey. Some of your films may be accepted, some may not, some may get licensed, some may not, some may take longer than others to be uploaded or to go live on these channels. That's just the nature of the film industry. I have a lot more respect for Hollywood after knowing that some of their films take years to come out, of trying to be patient with my own films being released on these platforms. As always, subscribe to the channel, tune in for more updates. It is I, Bugzee.